Hey everyone, in this video, I'm going to discuss about an interesting concept which is exploratory data analysis of telecom customer churn. So far we have learned Python and different Python libraries like NumPy, Pandas, Seaborn, Matplotlib. So now we have to make use of all those skills and we have to build or we have to do an EDA project on this telecom customer churn dataset. So usually when you are working in a company, let's say for example you are working in a telecom customer care company. So basically you want to understand which customer is going to leave a company or not, or which customer is moving out of your service. Okay, whenever you start with exploratory data analysis, it's all about exploring your data using different tools, skills that you have studied so far. So I'll explain our different steps. Understand. First, start with a problem statement. That is the first step. So the telecom industry experiences high customer churn, making it crucial to understand why customers leave is like super important. Right? For every company, you need to understand why customers leave or why employee leaves a company, right? So this EDA aims to identify the patterns, trends, and factors influencing churn by analyzing customer demographics, services, billing details, and based on account information, we're gonna uncover actionable insights that help improve the customer retention and support future churn prediction models. So basically, this analysis plays a very important role in understanding why exactly the customer leave a company or why do they leave a service, how to retain the customers, how to avoid churn. All those things you will understand it with this analysis. Okay, so done with the problem statement, then it's an objective. So basically, we need to identify overall churn rate and compare it with active customers. And we have to analyze the key features such as demographics, services, billing, and account details that influence the customer churn. And also uncover patterns, correlations, trends using an EDA, and also provide actionable insights to improve the customer retention strategies. Okay, so this is the problem statement and also the objective. Major focuses on understanding why this churn and how to retain the customers. So once you are done with the problem statement and an objective, you need to start with libraries. Import basic libraries like Pandas, NumPy, Matplotlib, Seaborn, and also warnings to avoid just the warnings. So I'm just importing libraries. I've already uploaded data, which is a telecom data. Okay, it's given in our resources. Yeah. So very first thing you have to load a data. Use pd.read underscore CSV and just mention a CSV file so that you can load your data set. Once you load, what you have to do? Okay, so this is the data set. Wherein you have a different columns like customer ID, gender, senior citizen, partner, dependents, tenure, phone service, multiple lines, internet service, online security, device production, tech support, streaming TV, streaming movies, contract, paperless billing, payment method, monthly charges, total charges, and also we have a finally churn. So these are the different columns you have. I want you people to do some domain analysis, understand this data set. So this data clearly sees that it's a customer information from a telecom company, including the demographics, services, subscriptions, account details, billing information, and also related to a churn flag, indicating whether a customer has left the service or not. So it helps in analyzing the customer behavior and identify the key factors contributing to this customer churn. Okay, so we have a different columns as customer ID represents a unique identifier for each customer. Gender is male, female, senior citizen. So is customer is a senior citizen or not? Partner, whether customer has a partner or not. Okay, then so you have different things like dependents. Customer has a dependence, tenure, number of months the customer has stayed with the company. Phone service, if the customer has a phone service, availability of multiple phone lines, type of internet service you are offering, online security service status, online backup service status, device production plan status, technical support status, active or access to streaming TV services or streaming movie services. Contract customers contract type is it month to month, 1 to year, or 2 year, 1 year. Paperless billing indicates if customer uses a paperless billing or not. Like we have as no payment method, a different mode of payment, and monthly charges billed to the customers. Total charges incurred by the customers. Churn indicates whether the customer has discontinued the service or they stay with the service. Okay, these are the different columns. Individually analyze each one of them. So next important thing is going to be basic checks. First, you have to perform basic checks to understand the data. I'm using data.read, which gives you number of rows and columns. So clearly we have 7,043 rows and 21 columns. Data.head prints you first 5 rows. You can inspect your data. And you can print data.tail, which gives you last 5 rows. Print all the columns. Check data type of each column. You should be a little cautious here. So one important thing that you can see here is total charges is basically a numerical, but it shows like an object. Okay, so wrong data type that I've noticed. Next important thing, info just gives you memory usage, missing value kind of thing. And then I'm printing numerical column using data dot select d types, include float 64 and integer 64. All these things we have already studied, right? So I'm not going to implement anything from scratch. So next important thing, categorical columns, data dot select d types, include equals object gives you categorical columns. These are the different columns which has a categories. So in this one of them is wrong, which is a total charges. I should be a little cautious of it, right? And then data dot describe for all the numerical column, it is giving you the describe statistical analysis wherein you can see, right? And data dot describe for a categorical column you can see. And also what I'm doing, I want to find the unique values with respect to a categorical column. So I'm just taking all the list of categorical columns and then I'm using for loop for x and list. So I'm trying to print x so that I get a labels, and then I'm calling data of x dot unique so that it just gives you unique values. And I want to give one spacing after every column, so I'm just using empty print statement. Okay, see, it says like gender, two values, unique values, male, female, partner, S no, dependents, S no, phone services, S no, multiple lines, no phone service, no S, internet service, you have DSL, fiber optic and no, online security, no S, no internet service at all, online backup, S no, no internet service, device prediction, tech support, streaming TV, streaming movies, contract. We have month-to-month, 1 year, 2 year contract. Paperless billing, yes or no. Payment method, we have a different option: electronic check, mail check, bank transfer, or maybe the credit card. And then total charges. Though total charges values are float, object, data type, right? It's a string data type, which is wrong. And churn, we have like a S or no. Customer who left a service, who doesn't left a service. Okay, now one important thing, since the values in our total charges are like a float and it shows like a string, first what I'll do, I suspect that there can be an empty string in our data. So for that I'm calling data dot replace, calling string empty strings and replacing them with a np.null. So wherever you have an empty strings, that needs to get replaced with a null value, okay? And then replace equals to make it a permanent change. Once you replace it, so now what I'll do, since we know that total charges data type is wrong, right? So now what I'll do is I'm trying to convert a data type. So call the data.log total charges dot as type. I'm trying to convert data type into a float 64. Okay, so that the data type of total charges is going to be. So I'll just show you. See, it would be float 64. Sorry, just a minute. Let me run from beginning. Here. Okay, we are replacing all the total charges as a float value. Still, it shows you the same thing because we are changing in a same column, right? Let me change the column name and then let me check the data type. It has to show me float 64. Always change the column name, then it works. Okay. And then check duplicates. I'm just checking all the duplicated values. It says like 0. I'm looking for missing values. It says that, okay, there are 11 missing values in our total charges. So since I'm creating a new column here, let's drop the old column because anyhow we are creating a new column, right? So you know how to drop. So very simple. Let me just call data.drop. I need to tell the column name, which is total charges. And then it's an axis equals 1. And we'll drop it permanently wherein I'll say in place is equal to 2. Okay, done. Right? Okay, great. So yes, once I'm done with dropping, now let me check the missing values. There is only one column wherein the total charges missing values are like 11 values are missing. So what I'll do, I'll check the distribution of a total charges, because we know we cannot directly decide like how replacing of values will be done since there are missing values. I'm not dropping because it's kind of loss of information. First, I'm checking the distribution. It clearly shows that it's a right skew. Since it's a right skew distribution, I'm going to replace it with a median. So we all know how to replace. I'm just calling total charges dot fill any, and I'm filling it with a median. I'm calling the column calculating median, and I'm just saying in place equals to, so that permanently it changes. So now just go back and try to run this, or else you can just print it again. Yeah. So once you replace the missing values, you can actually check the missing values. We have successfully replaced missing values in our total charges. All good now. Okay, so this is the first approach, basically, that you have to perform, like a data cleaning, understanding data, all those stuff. Okay, so now important thing, you have to start exploratory data analysis, that is analyzing data using a different graphs. So what I'm doing here, according to a data set, I'm framing questions, and accordingly I'm trying to plot a graph. Okay, so first thing, I want to find the distribution of a churn. So clearly we know that churn column is a categorical column which has a categories like S, no. I just want to know like what amount of people are like leaving service, what amount of people not leaving a service. I'm just using count plot. You all know PLT dot figure is used to set up figure size. Then calling SNS dot count plot, passing data and saying x equals churn, and giving a color and giving title like a churn distribution. So this is the graph which basically tells you about the amount of people who have churned and not churned. So what did you understand from this graph? Clearly shows that customer retention. A large proportion of customers continue using the service, right? Indicating that relatively strong retention. Retention in the sense the people who have not left the service, still people who are continuing your service. Okay, that's a customer retention. And when I say churn rate, a significant proportion of customers, a very less amount of people have been, uh, left a service. So which suggests areas for improvement in your customer satisfaction or maybe in a service quality. If some amount of people are leaving a service, that means they're not happy with your service. You need to think of it, right? So now the opportunity for improving, for reducing the churn rate could lead to better customer loyalty and more stable revenue streams. See, if 10 people leaving your service, and there is a possibility that 10 people would spread a news that, okay, this service is not a good, you lose the customers. Rather, you can focus on improving that, you can reduce the churn rate. Okay, actionable insights. So now company could benefit from targeted efforts to understand and address the reasons behind the churn. Focus on why customer is leaving, take a feedback and try to work on improving that particular issues. Next one, how many customers fall under each contract type? So we have a different contract types, right? Like I just want to know like how many people come under month to month, 1 year contract or 2 year. So maximum customer fall within this month to month, specific month to specific month, or maybe like 1 year contract or 2 year contract. Okay, so it seems that most customers are on month to month contracts because this is the largest category with over like you can see 3,000 plus customers, right? And few customers have 1 year and 2 year contracts. These types have a relatively small proportion. Opportunity, like, or kind of improvement, a company might focus on converting month to month customers into a long term contracts to improve their retention and reduce their churn. See, people who have registered for few months, there is a possibility that they would leave a service when they're not happy. So you have to focus on improving the service so that people can convert that month to month into a 1 year or 2 year, so that people stay with you for a long time, right? Yeah. And what is the distribution of internet service types? Like what different types of services that this company is providing? So basically, I'm using CountPlot again for finding categories. So we have DSL, we have fiber optic internet service, and also no service at all. So I'm using CountPlot, same code. You all know this. I'm not repeating. We'll focus more on insights. Most customers use a fiber optic. You can see here, maximum customers have chosen fiber optic network. DSL is also popular, but it's a second most service among the customers. And few customers doesn't really have a internet service at all. Okay, since most people are opting for fiber optic internet service, we have to focus on giving some offers or improving the service better, something like that to retain your customers. Next important thing, how is the tenure distributed among the customers? So since tenure is a numerical column, obviously I have to go with an histogram. I'm using plt.figure to set a figure size. sns.hisplot, plotting histogram, passing date of tenure. I'm giving bins equals 30, kd equals true so that I'll get a curve. And I'm giving a color. And then title, I'm sure you can clearly see tenure distribution. So what insights you get from this? So clearly, there is a high churn among new customers, right? There is a sharp peak in between 0 to 5 months range. You can see between those, suggesting that many customers will leave early. Okay, maximum people who take up the service are like for very few months. Stable retention among long-term services. After initial churn, the customer retention appears more consistent. You can see 20 to 60 like the consistent amount of people you have, right? So company may benefit from implementing retention programs to target our new customers to reduce early churn. You should focus on early new customers so that they don't really leave your service at the early stage itself. Next important thing is like what is the distribution of monthly charges? So I'm just using histogram so you can see monthly charge distribution. So maximum charges are around like 20 per month. So you could see maximum people $20, 20 is like a peak, almost like 1,200. The distribution is slightly right skimmed, and opportunities are like company should consider segmenting customers by pricing tiers for better retention strategies. Next one, what is the distribution of a total charges? Same histogram I'm using. So it clearly sees that high concentration of low total charges. You can see most customers have a low total charge as indicated by a peak near to 0 to 1,000 itself. And even this is also right skip, saying like few customers have significantly higher charges, but most customer will fall within a low total charges itself. So now the company should focus on higher charger tiers for upselling or maybe for retention offers to high value customer, people who are paying more. So you have to give some offers or kind of thing to retain them. Okay, next important thing, how does churn vary across different contract types? So in this case, I'm going with a clustered bar chart, or you can just go with a count plot itself count. Since I want to know churn vary across different contract type, I'm calling x equals contract. Q, I'm giving it like a churn. So what it will do, it just tells you like what amount of people are, churning with respect to different contract type. So it clearly shows that high churn for a month-to-month contracts. We all know, like when customers with very contract with for contract for very specific months have the highest churn rate, indicating that customers with flexible short-term contracts are like more likely to leave. Okay, and low churn for 1 year contract. So because customer with 1 year, 2 year contract show significantly lower churn, suggesting that longer commitment contracts help in retention. So what you people can do, you can focus on converting month-to-month customers to a long-term contracts so that you can reduce the churn. Okay. How does churn differ among internet service types? So again, I'm using the count plot. I'm using X as internet service and I'm comparing it with a churn. So I'm using Q. So I just want to compare internet services with a churn. With which internet service like more likely to churn? Okay, so you can clearly see that high churn for our fiber optic users. You can see blue color is no, this green color is like S. Customers using fiber optic internet have the high customer churn rate, suggesting potential dissatisfaction with the service. So probably customers are not happy with your service. So that's the reason there is high retention. Right? DSL, like you could see very low retention rate, possibly due to greater satisfaction or maybe lower expectations. And opportunities to improve is like companies could explore customer feedback, issues related to fiber optic, so that we can reduce the churn in this particular segment. Since many people are opting for this, and also the amount of customer churn is also like higher, so we have to focus on improving the issues that has been arise from this particular service. Next one, how does churn vary across different payment methods? Again, I'm using a account plot itself. I'm passing payment method and I'm taking Q as a churn. So here you could clearly see that high retention you could see with the help of electronic check, and less retention, I mean less churn rate you could see with respect to mail check, bank transfer, and also the credit card. Okay, highest churn with the electronic check, because the customer who use electronic check as a payment method have the highest churn rate. And we have a lower churn rate with customers using bank transfer or maybe credit card method, shows like significantly lower churn. So company could focus on electronic check users by offering incentives or maybe improving the payment process to reduce the churn. You can provide better facilities to them, better incentives to them, so you can retain them. So next important graph is, do monthly charges differ between churn and a non-churn customers? So I'm using a box plot because I want to compare between churn and non-churn with respect to monthly charges. I'm taking x equals churn along x-axis, monthly charges along y-axis. You could clearly see you got a two boxes, right? So blue one represents a churn is, green represents, no churn, green represents like churn. So from this we can clearly see the higher monthly charges for our churned customers. Can you see? So higher monthly charges. This line is a bit higher for the churn people. Customers who have churned tend to have a higher monthly charges compared to those who stayed. So wider range of charges for churn customers. So this box plot is showing larger spread for our churn customers, indicating variability in our monthly charges for those who left. So what you have to do, the company should explore offering lower cost plans or incentives to high paying customers to reduce their churn. If somebody has paid more and if you're not giving them any offers or low cost plans, obviously they'll switch for other service wherever they get it for less price or less offer, right? Yeah. Next one, are customers with dependents less likely to churn? So is churn dependent on like whether the customer is dependent on some people or not? So here I'm just using a count plot using dependence and Q equals churn. It clearly sees that people who are not dependent are likely to churn. Right? Customers without dependence shows like higher churn compared to those with a dependence. People are likely to explore things. So customers with dependents have a tend to have a lower churn rate, possibly due to family related commitments. They're okay once they commit with any particular service, they just continue. But people who are like not dependent, they just want to explore things. So now the company should focus more on retaining non-dependent customers with a personalized offers or a services. Let's say people who is not dependent, who doesn't have a family, people are like more likely to explore things. If not this service, let me call other service and let me check the offers. And they just switch between the different services, right? Next important one, are customers without tech support more likely to churn? This is important. I'm using a count plot, passing data, x equals tech support, q equals churn. So we have a different tech support, right? Like S, no, or no internet service at all. So now the question is, people without a tech support will have a higher chance of leaving a service, right? See, let's say for example, we are using the fiber net, and if there is any issue, if there is no technical support, obviously people like to churn. People like to leave that service. Customers who do not have a proper technical support are more likely to churn. Right? Customers with tech support will tend to stay longer because their issue is resolved. So that's the reason offering and improving tech support could be an effective strategy to reduce a churn, especially among customers who currently do not have it. So whenever you offer service, it's very important to handle their issues as well. Tech support is very important. Tech service is very important. If their issue is not resolved, obviously they get frustrated and they just leave your service and they look for the better one, right? Next important one, like how do internet service, monthly charges, and churn interact? I'm just using a box plot for comparing multiple things. I'm taking internet service and monthly charges, and I'm taking Q as a churn. So here you can clearly see that. Okay, monthly charges are higher for fiber optic internet service compared to DSL, right? And also people who offer fiber optic service and highly monthly charges are more tend to churn, indicating that they're not satisfied with your service or maybe with the pricing. And DSL users shows like low churn, maybe they have a lower monthly charges or maybe suggesting that they are satisfied with the service. So customer without an internet service also they have a minimal churn but their monthly charges are very low. Okay, and next important one, what percentage of customers have churn versus stayed? So I'm using a pie chart for this. I'm just finding value counts and plotting using plot.py. Auto PCT for percentage, and I'm passing different colors. And then start angle, I'm saying like 90 degree, just to represent that, what I can see, the distribution. Okay, you can clearly see from this pie chart, it clearly sees that almost 73.5% of the customers have not churned. That means majority of the customers are happy with the service, they stayed with the service. Only 26.5% of the customers have churned. That means only few people have left the service, maybe because they're not happy. So now the company should work on 26.5% of the people to improve the customer loyalty, revenue stability, and you have to reduce the churn rate as well. You should focus on feedback, how you can improve the issues that created from your service, provide tech supports, try to resolve issues immediately. Lot many factors will affect, right? Next important one is like what is the proportion of customers subscribe to each internet service type? So we have an internet service type, different one, DSL, fiber optic, and no internet service, right? I'm just using pie chart, finding value counts first, and then plotting graph for it. Okay. So here you can clearly see that this is the internet service distribution with respect to it's like how, what percentage of people subscribe to each of them. So we could clearly see that maximum people offer the fiber optic because probably the service is good, and 34.4% of the customers use DSL internet, and 21.7% of the customers have no internet service at all. So that means very small portion of customers have no internet service. So this is how you analyze your data and write insights so that you understand what are the reasons for churn rate and how we can improve it, how to retain customers, right? So that's the reason exploratory data analysis plays a very important role. Advancement towards this is machine learning. So you can train your model with this data and your model will be able to tell which customer is likely to leave your service, so that you can actually predict before customer leave, and so that you can provide some offers or low cost incentives so that you can retain customer and also you can reduce the churn rate. This is an interesting EDA project related to telecom churn. I hope it's clear. Thank you. Happy learning.